Mechanic. Today I'm here with Tiffany Hooser of Hooser Health. She is a master herbalist, and let me tell you guys, she's one of the most spectacular human beings I've ever met. She is a walking encyclopedia for everything natural. Tiffany, go ahead and tell us a little bit about how long you've been doing this, your roots. You told me earlier it was your whole life. Can you explain
Almost,
that?
practically. Growing up, I'm part Choctaw Native American, and I was very close with my great-grandmother. And she knew how to live off the land. She knew how to do everything from catfish to dawn to growing her own garden to knowing how to heal herself with herbs.
Right.
As a child, I was very curious in what she was doing, and it was just a normal part of life. However, I grew up in the at an altitude of 9,000 feet in Colorado. And unfortunately, not a lot grows there. And if it does, the deer eat it. Taking a step back from maybe my teenage years to early adult life, herbalism wasn't involved in my life as it should be. Of course, there's still things there, but not like in Kansas or in other states where things can grow without the altitude. I strayed away from herbalism for a while, and that's when I started to fall ill.
Yeah.
And
you suffer from Lyme's disease, right?
No.
What was it?
First, it all started with kidney stones. Started getting kidney stones. Then I started having other issues where we couldn't figure out what was wrong. I've been told I've had cancer 6 different times in my life. But come to find out, it wasn't cancer. It was, obviously. And doctors were perplexed. They didn't know. They were scratching their heads. Thousands of dollars, and years later, and it took me many years. It took me about almost 15 years. Finally got the diagnosis that it was lupus.
Lupus, that's what it was.
And how do I combat it?
What do we have here?
This is Immune Boost. This is wonderful for the cold and flu season.
Okay.
And
Which is here.
Yeah. And we're all battling it right now, or somebody that's sick right now. And so about 2016, I actually had a 50% chance of living. The doctors, it was horrible. My daughter just turned 2.
Just the whole mind, the mental, like when you're told there's a crapshoot, whether you're going to live or not. I mean, we could dig off into how that affects you, but you felt that you had to do something to counteract this and combat it.
Well, the doctors didn't care. The doctor that told me I had a 50% chance of living had a clipboard in her face and couldn't even look me in the eye to say, hey, you might not make it. And I was devastated. My daughter just turned 2 weeks prior to me being in the hospital.
Miracle child.
My miracle child, because unfortunately, with that vaccine injury and also with the lupus and all the autoimmune issues, it caused endometriosis, and it caused a precursor.
I don't know what endometriosis is. Talk to me like a child. I don't know.
So endometriosis is actually pretty common now in women, which is sad because it's more common now than it has ever been in history, and that is attributed to a lot of different things, such as vaccines, such as chemicals in our food or in our atmosphere, and so things that we're taking in. What it does is basically it's tissues that grow outside of the uterus, and basically can erode the ovaries. In my case, it did. So it was a precursor for ovarian cancer. So there was a lot going on.
It sounds like it creates a wall in between production.
It does, and that's exactly what it is. And that's exactly what it is.
So
and
when you had your child, this is literally your miracle child. My
miracle child, because 4 months prior to finding out we were pregnant, I was told I couldn't have a child, and it was very next to nothing. The odds were very slim. 4 months prior to finding out that we were pregnant, I was told we wouldn't be able to have a child. At least I couldn't, or the possibilities would be very slim. We got referred to a fertility clinic. We've only been married for about a year at this point. We were happily married, but we were living in a 400 square foot apartment. We couldn't afford a fertility specialist, nor is that something we really wanted to venture into. I kind of put it in God's hands, and I thought, all right, if it is meant to be, it is meant to be. And 4 months later, I ended up pregnant. And I thought I had the flu, and I argued with doctors saying that there was no way.
You thought you had the flu?
Yes.
I got an embryonic flu going on.
Well, I did. I thought I had the flu. And they're like, no, it's too early for the flu. You must be pregnant. And I said, no, it's impossible. I'm not. And come to find out, my mom convinced me, just go get the test. And lo and behold,
Now,
she was right.
Native American, does that come from your mom's side or dad's side?
Father's.
Father's side?
Father's side, yes.
But your mom obviously has to be tapped into a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it sounds like she had a little intuition on her part.
Oh, her intuition is amazing. Yeah. I've never met a woman with such high intuition. Yeah. And of course, that's something she's always instilled in me my whole life. Always listen to that little voice.
Yeah, they call it the gut, but I mean, isn't that really like our inner self talking to us? Let's shelve that for another conversation.
Definitely a higher self talking to you, for sure. Yeah. And honestly, without that little voice, I wouldn't be alive here today, because when I fell ill, I had to be my number one advocate. I had to go to the doctors probably 3 or 4 different occasions within a matter of days to say something is wrong. I feel like I'm on death's doorstep. Help me. Mm-hmm. And nobody would take this seriously. Finally, I became the loud, how do they say it? The loud wheel. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So I became that squeaky wheel because I knew something was wrong. And
let me stop you right there. A lot of us, when we go to the doctor, we believe that it's gospel, it's Jesus. Jesus is talking to you, and whatever the doctor says, don't question it. Don't go get a second opinion. By all means, guys, go get a second opinion. Please. Go get a third opinion.
That's what it was. And I felt like all these years, all this time, it was building up to this moment. It felt like where thousands of dollars were taken from me. It was all about money and about my insurance card versus fixing me or helping me or even listening to me. I got denied so much in that matter of days when I was saying, I'm sick, something is wrong. And then finally, after they did tests and I finally got attention, they go, oh my, we actually really do have a problem. One doctor still refused to believe it until he got in and cut me open to operate, that he realized my kidney was obsessed and it was causing sepsis and I already was infected. That's what caused the 50% chance of living. When another doctor came in to deliver this grand awesome news that I had 50% chance of living, she wouldn't look me in the eye, but instead when I said, wait, what did you just say? And I'm trying to comprehend just what she just happened to say. She said, oh, get over it. The man down the hall has it worse. And walked out of the room. The next doctor that walked in, the one that finally did the testing and finally listened to me because he was sick of me being in his face, finally came in and said, this is above my pay grade. I don't know what to do. And he literally threw his hands up in this motion and said, good luck, and walked out of the room and washed his hands of me. That fueled a fire that made me live, but that also started
the wheels turning.
The wheels turning. I grew up doing this. I know that our ancestors have done this for eons, for thousands and thousands of years.
Absolutely.
God put everything on this planet for us to use.
And if we go back to biblical days, they were thousands of years.
Yes, life was definitely longer then, because of how pure they were and what they ingested and what their environment was. It got me thinking.
I believe a lot of that comes down to higher frequency because frequency is being lowered through the use of all kinds of different things. Conspiracy theories, another topic.
But actually, no, it's true. There's a lot of truth into that. Yeah. Frequency is such a big part of that. And there's frequency in everything. Yeah. And this thing happened in the medical field. Our ancestors knew how to heal themselves. Your great-great-granddaddy knew how to go out, grow something, and use it medicinally and be okay. It wasn't until the early 1900s where John D. Rockefeller came into the picture and then decided to revamp the medical industry. And instead of doctors, used to be known as quacks back then, right? Because people knew how to heal themselves. However, unlike today, if they needed a certain herb and they came from the home country, it would take months to years to get it because it had to come through the other side of the world on a ship, right? So by the time you got it, it was either the person passed away or it was no longer needed. So it was something that they had on hand.
Sure.
But when Rockefeller came in, he flipped the medical system and herbalism on its head. And then instead of doctors being quacks, herbalists became quacks.
Not to mention the banking system and the educational system. There's so many different systems.
He rebuilt it all, flipped it all on its head, and basically what used to be was wrong.
My favorite quote of his, and not favorite in a good light, but he's quoted saying, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of laborers.
Absolutely.
And so from ground up, he completely revamped, when I say banking, I'm talking about what we call the Federal Reserve, which is not even a federal branch of our government. It is a bank that our government takes loans from. Setting this up because if I want to control the government, just control the money.
Control the money.
You know, if you want to control the people, control the education. Get them from a young age and raise them in the way that the state allows, and it benefits the state.
After my experience, my personal experience, and then being my eyes open to how things are and how we've kind of been betrayed for a few generations on this. Let's get back to our roots.